Welcome to the second episode of Series 82, everyone. This month we have Lawlor and Panny Lines with us to go over their remarkable post-apocalyptic mech RPG called Salvage Union. This episode we finish our characters and even our mobile community. But before we get to that, we do have some calls to action coming up after the show. Here's what to expect.
You can join us here after the show, and we'll have some information about the near future of our show, our normal Patreon information, as well as our patron thank yous.
Yeah, with all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone. On the last episode of Character Creation Cast, Aled was making a salvager with the call sign of Dingle. Panny was creating a hacker with the call sign of Mama Bear. Amelia was creating a hauler with the call sign of Ducky. And I was creating an engineer with the call sign of Spitfire. We're picking up right where we left off last time. Enjoy. All right, what's next?
So then we kind of keep rolling through the tables then. Choose your background. So again, there's a background table, so you can pick or roll.
And these backgrounds, so the background, the keepsake, and the motto do have, obviously they give you a bit of information about your character, what they did before they joined the crawler in the case of a background. Your keepsake's kind of a item that's important to you, and your motto is something you say in times of trouble. You're known for saying, but they have a mechanical use in that they effectively give you a reroll. So once per session, if you do something that aligns with your background, you can reroll the die. If you do something that makes somehow makes sense or aligns with your keepsake, you can reroll the die. And then the motto lets you reroll someone else's die. So if someone maybe rolled low, you can say your motto, say live and let die or whatnot, and they get a reroll. So
oh, nice.
Brian, guess what I rolled?
Oh, did you get cultist? That's funny because I did too.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
No. Should we all be cultists?
Are we from the same cult?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe we're rival cults. We'll have to decide.
Yeah. Have you been deprogrammed? Or are you still in?
I'm pretty sure I've been deprogrammed.
It feels less likely for me as a person.
All these kaiju running around for some reason.
I love to be a cultist. That's amazing.
So I rolled a hermit, so which is starting to build up actually into quite a nice little salvager. Who's the guy from Legend of Zelda, the trader guy?
Smeagol?
Are you talking about the
guy with the little
guy that likes the beetle, right?
Beetle, thank you.
Beetle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's not Beetle that I'm thinking of though. It's from Wind Waker. Dingle's sounds like a similar name, but I can't remember what his name is.
You talking about the little guy in the green, Tingle?
Yes, Tingle. Thank you, Tingle.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. No. I'm picturing my salvaging being a bit like him at this point.
Oh no! Does he wear all green? A green jumpsuit?
I think he might have, like a green boiler suit on. Yeah, bright green. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Okay. Then again, so we roll on keepsake and motto as well.
I should know I got entertainer. That's my background. I'm imagining.
Oh, nice.
I'm imagining he was he did the sort of light show in some sort of corpo club. So he sort of he handled all the lights and production and but kind of did it maybe DJ style or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Kind of an outgoing hacker.
I like that.
But keepsake next.
Is there a lot of cults to the lore of the world? in there, or is that something that we can just kind of make up as we we go?
You can definitely make it up. Is kind of the intent. There are in some of the lore, there's cults hinted towards. There's in False Flag, there is the Cult of Ascension, who are effectively a group who want to ascend to kind of like digital heaven, where it's they can transplant their minds into literally the cloud after death.
Oh, okay.
And they're all obsessed with that concept.
If you've been watching Ascension, then sorry, not Ascension, Pantheon. Then it's a similar vibe.
Pantheon or a few things. Black Mirror has it as an idea as well. So there's that. There's sort of some cults, I think, but like worship kaiju as gods, effectively.
There's one in False Flag as well, isn't there? The Red Mesa cultists.
Oh, that's We Were Here First, but yeah.
We Were Here First. Sorry, not false. Yeah, sorry.
They're like the bio cultists.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
we'll have to think on that and see.
But beyond that, it really is up to you.
I think my character was raised in a cult that had to deal with worshiping the kaiju, like revering them and like respecting them and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like meeting a kaiju would be an emotional experience for anybody raised in this cult, effectively, right?
Absolutely.
For copyright reasons, we should probably say that we call them biotitans in the book.
Is kaiju is it a copyright term?
The biotitans.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, though, biotitans are, though you probably encounter them more often than other people would in the Wastelands as salvagers, playing the game as well. Like they're it's meant to be relatively pretty rare. So certainly encountering one would be a kind of road to Damascus moment, perhaps. Where that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more like Hilda and the Giants. If you've watched Hilda at all,
that makes sense as well. Yeah, I think
Did you leave because you tried to pet one and it turned out it wasn't nice? And then you were like,
probably.
That leopard tried to eat my face, and now. I rolled my keepsake, and I got a set of novelty dice. Everything's coming up, Amelia.
Oh, nice.
We do sell those as well, just if anyone's interested.
Very nice plug.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
The Salvage Union game in the Salvage Union container. Yeah.
I have a snow globe, which is a kaiju Santa Claus hybrid with in a snowy, wintry landscape.
Love it.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's like Godzilla with a Santa hat, basically, right?
As everyone knows, Godzilla is the one that brings presents every year. If you write a letter to Godzilla.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah. I mean, if you lived out in the wastes, then maybe it is because, maybe it's, you've got this giant biotitan that's killing corpo patrols, but then leaving the wrecked out mechs, and that's what you're salvaging. Like, do you know what I mean? It's that's the monster, the biotitan provides, right? Like,
I got butterfly earrings, which I imagine are kind of neon and glow in the dark and flash lots. Incredibly bright and fluorescent and every color, basically.
Nice.
At the same time.
I think I got a scuffed book, which I think is actually the Salvage Union workshop manual that my hermit self found, and is what actually led me to join the Union and the Crawler rather than forsake my hermit life. Just realizing that there was something else out there, but it's very precious to me. Yeah, it's sort of my escape from loneliness.
Aww.
So for motto, I actually got just crazy. So salvagers know nothing is truly lost. So it's just
Perfect.
very, very on point. So I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got failure is the mother of success.
That's so you.
It is.
I got knowledge is power, Francis Bacon.
Where's France?
Probably one of the most poetic ones, I think.
Truly swaying hearts and minds over here.
I got be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
Very fitting for someone with the mama bear call sign.
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
I've got a hacker with a heart of gold. Yeah.
So I also got Rosie on my appearance table, which so yeah, now I'm very much just thinking, yeah, Dingle is Tingle. With the rosy cheeks and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I got graceful.
nice.
It's new for me. New and exciting.
Yeah.
I got lanky. I'm imagining, I'm like very tall, but I've just got from the club days, like I don't know, just like ridiculously huge, like platform shoes.
I love that so much. Like combat boots that are, like 6 inches on the bottom. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So impractical, but
incredibly so. But,
I love them.
That's what gives me that sort of lanky appearance. I'm just far taller than I should be.
I got sloppy, which I think is gonna kind of translate to I just have grease randomly, like mech grease, like on my face, on my clothes, hands, and then I just don't notice it. I'm just like, hey, how's it going? And shake your hand with my gross, greasy.
Like, you haven't been fixing anything for 3 days. How much like children? Why are you always sticky?
I'm always sticky in a greasy way. That's my sloppy, and I probably just like leave things out easy to get to, so like I just can grab anything I need when I need it, and I know where everything's supposed to go. But it looks like a nightmare.
Organized chaos, right?
Yep.
The final table in this section is the AI personality table, which there are a certain number of AI components and things that you can get. It's obviously this is just if you have any one of those things, because they have their own little personality to give you just a bit of flavor on that. Yeah. So whether it's like one of the turrets from Portal or something like that.
That's kind of the idea. Yeah. But I don't think. I'm not sure. Yeah, if you've got something like that, obviously. But
generally don't. You wouldn't usually start with something like that. It feels like.
They tend to come a little bit later.
Your mech can get the rudimentary AI quirk at the start of the game. So
nice.
That's one way to get it early on.
The crawler, the augmented crawler comes with an AI built into it as well, which you can.
Oh, that's cool.
But other than that, I think that's done, right?
Yeah, pilot's done.
Probably need we got our name as our call sign, right?
Yeah, obviously
nice.
you can if you want another name, your sort of birth name, as it were, you can add that as well. But the call sign is your call sign.
No, that makes sense.
The call sign kind of grew out of, again, one of the original ideas, because when we were first playtesting it was during COVID. And so obviously everything was online. And so the original draft that I did, we were playing online, and one of the rules was you always had to talk in radio parlance. And there was like a guide to radio parlance and phrases to use and stuff like that, which made it really fun, like when you're, especially because you're playing online anyway, so you just have like these screens and voices, and it was really fun, but obviously a bit burdensome for for mass consumption. But we kept the call signs because that was fun.
Yeah, I was sad to cut that table with the radio parlance because it was a good table.
Yeah, but it was a good table, wasn't
but
it?
we had to cut something, I guess. Lest it be
as a supplement for later on.
Yeah. Now, what about like part of the appearance table was also asking like gender pronouns and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's just a decision for the player, really, as opposed to anything else. But normally what we would do,
in the call sign section, I guess, would be make the most sense to add that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go she, they for this character, Spitfire. Relatively like I'm picturing the mechanic from Firefly a bit.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that.
Mhm.
Kind of this little Spitfire of a human that is always a little dirty in a physical sense. And like and she's just this like talkative and like personable and like energetic
Relentlessly
individual.
upbeat.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Dingle's very certainly non-binary at this point. Very short, bright green jumpsuit, and matching hat, fresh-faced, rosy cheeks, and probably bouncing off that optimism, but but in a really weird way, weirdly optimistic, like even when it's not appropriate.
I appreciate that. I feel like kind of going based on the art that's in here for the Hauler too. I don't know how familiar you are with the Borderlands games, but I'm very much picturing Ellie.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's Ducky. Ducky is Ellie.
Nice.
Cool. I think Mama Bear's Shive makes sense to me. And I think they're kind of like full glam, kind of glam rock, sort of from their entertainer days. So platform boots, like just huge hair, just like so much hair, and just like bright silver kind of clothing, like silver jacket and all that. Just very subtle, very
yes, very
good at sneaking around.
Yeah, I feel like it has like Noel Fielding vibes a little bit.
Definitely, that would be
amazing.
What a group!
What a good group!
Yeah.
Seriously.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. What is next now?
Mechs in theory. I think making a mech.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Which is the fun bit. Page 94, 95 for the mech workshop, and we have another flowchart. Moving on to mechs. So the first thing is you gain scrap. So you get 20 scrap of Tech 1 to start. So as we go forward and look through, everything will have a salvage value on it, and it's the little number inside a cog on the thing in the mech chassis is actually just listed as salvage value, but in the systems it's been symbolized for brevity, and it's the little number inside the cog is the salvage value. So you have 20 to spend. So obviously it's just a point buy system in that regard. So just spend that scrap to buy the stuff. So the first thing is you pick a chassis. So you craft your mech chassis. They start on page 100, and we're limited to the Tech 1 chassis. So it's everything up to the Thresher, basically. So from page 100 to page 109 are the Tech 1 chassis. So there's 6, I think, right, Penny? No, 5.
There's 5. Yeah, in the core book. And there's a 6 in the upcoming starter set. But
there is. Yeah. We've got the mule, which is sort of traditionally kind of like what you might want to take as a hauler. It's got lots of cargo slots in it, and relatively high structure, and quite a few system slots. It's a pretty decent one. The Mazona, which comes with a built-in hover locomotion system, so you don't have to buy a locomotion system with a Mazona. It already comes with one. It's kind of low on all the stats, really, but you get hovering from the start, and it's also got really low cost. So the salvage value on it's really low, so you're not going to spend a whole load of your 20 scrap immediately. There's the Scrapper, which is kind of a bit of a sort of tough mech, essentially. So it comes with a hazard protected chassis as its chassis ability. So sorry, I should probably explain because I didn't. All of these mech chassis, they have their stats, so structure points, energy points, as we discussed earlier. They all also have a special chassis ability, which is just sort of like one thing on top, which gives it a bit more flavor. So the Scrapper doesn't take damage from hazardous environmental effects, radiation storms, etc. There's the Spectrum, which is kind of the hacking chassis, which we had a bit of fun with. It's actually like this huge data center on legs, basically. It's really restricted on the amount of system slots it has, but it comes with a built-in data scanner, so it can, again, it's a sort of information gathering tool. And then finally the Thresher, which is kind of it's the first basic combat mech, effectively, repurposed from a logging mech. So it has a heavily armored chassis. Crits that hit it don't deal double damage, basically. So it just counts as a standard hit. Also in this section, if anyone's looking through and they're wondering, on one page you've got the basic chassis information, and on the next side there are 3 different patterns. These are different builds, effectively. They're kind of it's kind of part of the bestiary in a way. So for the GM, these are pre-built mechs that you can sort of take out and sort of use if you want to use them. The first is kind of a basic, kind of what we might consider a waster pattern, or like a really cheap version of the pattern. The middle is kind of a medium, and then the top end tends to be the corpo pattern. So the sort of the fully kitted out corpo spec version of that mech. There's a little description of how these patterns came to be, a bit of lore around them. For the first 5, there's a little box underneath saying that the first pattern is a fully legal build. So if you just want to pick one to start the game quickly without going through all the book and reading all the bits and building your own one, you can just go, okay, cool, I'll take that to start with, and then we'll get playing, just to sort of speed up the process.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder, just because we haven't mentioned it, and it might be useful, when you said crits, I realized we haven't really talked about the core mechanic months. We briefly mentioned, but it just uses a D20, but I don't think we explained exactly what that meant. So basically, pretty much every action in the game, if it's like a risky action, whether you're, debating with some wastelanders as to, getting passage for an area, or fighting someone, or doing a trade, or trying to get over an obstacle or whatnot, you roll a D20. And on a nat 20, you do it really well. On an 11 to 19, you succeed. On a 6 to 10, you get a tough choice. So it's some sort of choice with consequence, but it's one you can choose from. So maybe you get past the huge mech-sized door, but you take a bit of damage, or they offer you the trade, but you have to give a bit extra or whatnot. 2 to 5 is some sort of failure, usually with consequence, but move the game forward a bit. And a nat 1 is like a critical failure with a severe consequence, and that's kind of the core resolution, but it's also mirrored. Quite a lot of the abilities mirror that in some way as well. For example, the Eggs Mayhem, which is one of the hacker's tools, lets you, I think, roll a d20, and then that will determine how many sort of questions you get to ask and how the database hack happens. But it's effectively a reiteration of that d20 table, but just more specific guidelines to the mediator as to how to resolve it. And so I guess when you're thinking about these things, I think the core resolution mechanic is quite useful to know. Same with pushing lets you re-roll the dice. So pushing is you gain 2 heat, you have to make a heat check, which is you roll a d20, and if you get over your equal to or over your heat, you fail the check, and you have to roll on like an overheat table. But you do get to reroll the dice if you do that, and it's one of the main ways to get a reroll on that d20. That's worth keeping in mind, as well as kind of what the heat does.
And your heat cap is the amount of heat that you can stack. So you can't go over your heat cap, and once you are at your heat cap, anytime you generate heat, you have to roll on that overload table when you are at that cap. Even if
you have to roll every round.
Yeah, every round, yeah. So,
but you can reduce heat by, if you shut down your mech, all the heat will dissipate within an hour. And there's also some There's like the hose you can get early on, which you can reduce heat with.
Yeah.
Just hose the mech down. So yeah. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, just picking chassis first, as we were saying, and then going from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go with the mule because it just makes sense. Because, you know, it's an obvious choice, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are designed to be a little obvious. Like, obviously, you can mix it up a bit. Maybe you just really want the Mazzona because the hover's powerful, but because there's 30 mech chassis just in the core book, and there's additional mech chassis in some of the supplements and stuff like that as well. So we wanted to keep the character creation kind of relatively speaking simple, just so you can understand some of the base concepts of how sort of piecing a mech together works before you start to get introduced to like the much wider variety of different mechs you get later on in the game. Because the main way of advancing as well is kind of upgrading your mechs and finding different mechs in the wastelands, or building different mechs in your crawler. So it should be noted, like the mech you get at the start isn't really what you're going to have like for the whole game. Most other games, like in a lot of other games, you might keep the same thing, but in this you're sort of encouraged to change it up. So so it's advisable not to get, I guess, too attached to the idea of the mech you start with, but also you can keep elements of it going through. If you've got some, you can imagine it as your original mech being kind of redesigned if you want to. Obviously.
Yeah, Thesis is mech.
Thesis is mech. Yeah.
So I'm going to take a Mazzona. It's not traditionally maybe a salvager kind of thing, but I know I'm just picturing Tingle in Wind Waker on that boat, and I'm like, yeah, something that floats feels right to me. Yeah.
I was also thinking the Mazzona for mine, because I'm imagining hopping from place to place, repairing mechs and stuff, like kind of being like this little helper fly going around.
Yeah, I'm thinking though the Spectrum's a more obvious one. I'm thinking the Scrapper, actually. It sort of makes sense. I think Mama Bear with her kind of tech tech background, and maybe doing all the light shows and stuff like that. Kind of a Scrapper, which is often a repair mech. Sort of makes sense for her, and it's got a fairly solid energy point total as well, which will be good for some of those hacking abilities.
Quick question, actually. Are we keeping this just on a general thing? Are we keeping this just to the core book, right?
Yeah, I feel simplicity.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd take a Kelpie, but
don't start. Whenever I run a group on like a new player group on our Discord, like I'll always get one player from playing a while, and I'll be explaining the base mechs, and I'll be like, "Can I have this one from the supplement book?" And I'm like, "Oh no, like, yeah, I guess." But like, now I have to explain that to everyone, or it seems unfair. And now,
and then everybody else wants access to all the different options. Yeah.
Well, we've got 3 hours. Can we just
Can we get moving, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, once we all have a chassis, going back to the mech workshop, so you write down your stats in the stat boxes, which it's just a case of copy it out the book.
Well, it's a good thing we have a hauler, because our two Mazzonas can only carry 6 cargo.
Yeah, so 6 is kind of the default cargo that every mech gets. So you can increase that cargo cap by adding transport pods and holding bays and cargo bays and stuff. The mule comes with one integrated, which is its chassis ability. So you get that for free. And
16.
I know. So much.
It's quite
we
just kept increasing that number in playtesting, I feel.
Yeah.
I swear it was like 10 at one point, but it became 12.
I think it was,
yeah.
It's just it never felt kind of good enough versus everything else, so it had to be like a lot to justify it. But
it had to be a big enough number that people go, my God, 16.
Yeah.
It doesn't do much, but you can put all your stuff in there.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously subtract however much you spent on your salvage from the amount of scrap that you have remaining.
Okay.
So the nice thing about taking Arizona is that you have loads to spend on other stuff because it doesn't cost so much. Whereas the Spectrum at 10 is like that's half of all your scrap to begin with. It's a powerful chassis, but
yeah, it's very.
So we started with
17 structure is really good on that.
10.
Yep.
No, 20 points, right?
20 to start. Yeah,
20. Yep. Okay, and so then that comes out of the structure points. Is that what?
So the salvage value. So what? What mech did you pick again?
I picked the mule.
The mule.
The mule. So the mule has a salvage value of 7. So you'd subtract that. It's kind of
okay.
like,
So 13.
think of it like currency, I guess, is maybe simpler. And then you'd have 13 left to buy everything else.
And the salvage value is of its tech level. So we have 20 tech 1 scrap. So it's got a salvage value of 7. So that's 7 tech 1 scrap. The scrap techs, basically the way they work is it's just straight currency. So tech 2 scrap is worth 2 tech 1 scrap. Tech 6 is worth 6 tech 1 scrap effectively. But for example, tech 6 chassis that costs 4 tech 6 would be the equivalent of costing 24 tech 1, if that makes sense. So there is it's a bit mathy there, but yeah.
But it's a nice, easy exchange rate.
It's an easy exchange rate, at least. Yeah.
I can do basic multiplication. So.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we had a lot of back and forth from that as well. That was
we did. Yeah, we rewrote that system so many times, didn't we?
There was a lot of halving at certain points, wasn't there? Where we just got rid of a lot of it in the end.
To keep it simple, yeah. And the next bit, which is the meat of it, is crafting systems and modules. So in the flowchart, it says systems and then modules, but really you probably want to do them simultaneously, really. If you turn to page 162, that has the Tech 1 system list as a whole. So these are all the systems, and then the modules all start on page, I think I know this by now, 188. So there's quite a lot of them, but obviously we're only looking at the Tech 1 ones. So there's far fewer options there. So if you look on page 164, 165, there's a couple of them that are isolated in red. These are what we call recommended systems and modules, if they're colored in red. There are 3 recommended ones, basically, which we recommend that everybody does take, which is an escape hatch. Is the first one. Without an escape hatch, you can't get in and out of your mech in an emergency because you're kind of sealed into it. And it means that if your mech blows up, then you just die with it.
You also blow up?
So yeah, that's it. You're just toast.
Got it.
So always good to have. But if you want to play it risky, because it does take up obviously a module slot, a system slot, which might be at a premium. So you might choose to run that gambit and hope that you don't get blown up. But yeah, it's advised. Locomotion system, if you don't have, obviously if you've taken a Mazona, it has an inbuilt locomotion system, so you don't need to take a separate one. But for everybody else, if you don't take one, you can't move. You don't have legs. So
it's just a turret mech at that point, huh?
Exactly, yeah. There are certain builds you could do where you mount a mech on another mech and sort of, play around with shenanigans like that. But for the purposes of most games, you're going to want to have your own legs. And out of the modules, a comms module is the only recommended module. Without a comms module, you can't talk while you're in your mech. Unless you have a portable comms unit, in theory, then you could use that. So then that would free up a module slot for something else. So yeah. But yeah.
I suppose the other 2 things to note are so salvaging and rigging. So if you want to pick stuff up, you need an arm. So a rigging arm helps to interact with the environment and also use some of those the abilities like the load ability, which basically lets you pick up cargo. And salvaging trait lets you salvage stuffs, which is quite important. So if you want your mech to be able to salvage, you need access to that in some way.
Yeah. Okay. As a note, when you're looking at these, each of your chassis has a system slot value and a module slot value. And then in the systems and modules, there's a little number on the side in a triangle. that is the system slot or module slot value of that. So when you're adding these things on, you have to subtract that from your system slots. So for example, locomotion system takes up 2. My Mizona has 7 system slots. If I wanted to put one on to have legs on my hovering mech for whatever reason, dual redundancy, then I would now only have 5 remaining to fit other things.
Got it.
Okay.
So yeah. And then the same for modules. Generally, you have more system slots than module slots. Modules generally just take sort of 1 slot unless they're quite powerful, in which case they'll take 2. But yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay. I think I've got to. I just need to tally up the points and see if I can afford all this.
Yeah, and obviously everything has the salvage value is in the cog as well.
Bit where everyone goes quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, I could take out a comms module and put in a personal recreation device.
Do you really need to take one out?
Well, I mean, I can only have 2.
That's
modules.
true.
Oh no. Okay, fine.
What is the range on the comms? Oh, long. Okay.
Yeah, so there's 4 ranges as a note. Like, so close is basically you can see you're very close. You're basically in like a mech's breadth, as it were, of it. You can see it in detail. Mediums, you can sort of make out the outline. You can sort of see what you're seeing. Long is it's out of a distance. It's probably just a silhouette. And far is it's like on the horizon. It's well away. They're purposely quite abstract ranges. We've pretty much throughout the system avoided any kind of real world measurements because that way lies hell with this sort of game. So, as we learned early on, I think on my very first playtest, I made a mistake of saying like how fast roughly the mech would walk, which I'm not even going to repeat out of fear of someone on the Discord. Taking the word as gospel. And then the player immediately went, well, if it can move that fast and they can go this fast, then we've got 2 hours to do this based on like all this information. I'm like, oh, it's not really that type of game. Like good deduction, but yeah, it wasn't not the vibe I wanted to like.
This feels much more like simple. Like Italian cooking, where you just kind of measure with your heart.
Exactly. Yeah. Mechs like Mummy used to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got everything for mine.
Yeah.
I was able to afford it too and fit it on my mech's system slots and module slots. It's wonderful. Perfect.
I kind of want to go with something pretty close to the hauler pattern. I'm just debating if I want to switch out this machine gun for a flamethrower instead.
That does sound cool.
I know.
I just built my own thing.
Nice.
I took a glance at the pre-built things, and I said, I do a little different here.
I think it's a lot more fun to build your own. This is like, again, it's one of the things from the development of it. Spending a lot of time playing Mech Warrior 3 when I was younger, and I swear just spent more time actually building mechs than I did playing the game in those mechs.
You play the game so you can build more mechs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's, this is kind of like part of what I love about Salvage is that, okay, cool. Yeah. Just pouring through and going, oh, but if I put this with this, then I can do this, but it all happens in downtime, like actually in play, because the mechs are quite limited. Like, I've got my Mizona, I've got 6 things on here. So I've got like kind of 6 things to play with from the start. With the Salvager then, sort of with your pilot, there's kind of like 9 buttons then to press, right, across your 2 character sheets, which isn't massively overwhelming to begin with. It's obviously you can spend a lot of time trying to figure out what things you want those to be, but once you have them in play, it doesn't really slow down the action at the table kind of thing, while you're sort of looking through all the different things you can do.
Yeah, I feel like the sort of starting pattern for this one, because I have so many system slots that it's like it uses almost all of the options, the Tech 1 options to begin with. So like I could go in and pick different things, but it's basically like this is everything that would fit.
The meal's quite chunky. In theory, there should be a little bit of room to expand even on the T1 mechs.
Yeah, I think
it's
I had
extra system or an extra module.
room for 4 more points.
I filled up to the brim.
Well,
so
I got 7 out of 7.
It's easy to do with Amazona. Have you done your modules as well?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to do with Amazona because it's so cheap to begin with that you run out of slots before you run out of salvage value. Whereas with other more expensive chassis,
I still have 5 left over. Yeah.
I think I've got 7 actually, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'll explain why in a bit because I wanted to keep at least 6 for the build that I've done.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, cool. Yeah, I think I'm done as well.
Anybody have anything super interesting that they want to?
Yeah,
I've got some fun stuff.
Yeah. What you got?
Yeah, so for my Amazona, which is for my engineer, I obviously went with the riveting gun. That was kind of my first choice, right? That allows me to do repairs on mechs in my mech, so I don't have to get out and be all squishy all the time. So now I've got multiple ways to repair other mechs, which is cool. And also I got a rigging arm for this thing, so I can fly around and pick up stuff and be like a little bit of a gopher for bigger stuff as well, which is cool. And floodlights. I got some floodlights as well, so I could see what I'm doing when it's dark. Or just, shine it in other mechs or people's eyes and kind of blind them for a bit. Yeah. And of course the escape hatch, because I don't want to die. And this thing's notoriously squishy, from what I understand. Yeah. So yeah, don't want to get into that. So that was my system. So that gives me 7 slots out of 7. The riveting gun was 3 and the rigging arm was 2 and the rest were 1. And then my systems and modules, I went with the comms module, of course. But I also went with a survey scanner. So I can kind of get the lay of the land. Imagining kind of flying up and scanning a distant area and getting some information about it. So, because my character is all about knowing stuff and going into things with as much knowledge of it as possible. So I think she would want that sort of capability. But also she likes the finer things in life. So she also has a personal recreation device in there. I'm not 100% sure. It says it could be like an entertainment box, a foot massager, a drink dispenser or whatever. Yeah. Just to kind of like chill out.
It's a robot butler.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what it is at this point. I'm guessing it's going to be like a back massaging heating pad sort of deal.
Ooh, comfy.
Yeah, like a nice cozy seat with like a back massager and a heating pad in it. Because I'm constantly like up and around things, contorting my body through these mechs and all that sort of stuff, trying to repair them, and that does a number on your back muscles quite a bit. So that's my Amazona.
Nice.
I've gone for a slightly more tactical build in a way, but kind of. So I'm kind of seeing Dingle as a bit of a sort of Chaos Goblin kind of character. And I was sort of going to take a Hydraulic Crusher because it is a really good bit of kit because it gives you salvaging and rigging and a weapon that you can deal damage with. So it's like really useful. But I figured, I've got those salvaging rigging traits on my hand tools, so I can always just get out of the mech and do that if I need to. It'll take a bit longer. And when I was thinking about the Chaos, I just had to take the Mechapult, which is probably one of my favorite bits of Tech 1 kit. So the Mechapult is basically just a catapult that you fling scrap from, and it costs scrap to use it, so it's a really expensive weapon to use. But you get to roll on a random D20 table, and each result has a different outcome, basically, from the surreal to the sublime.
There's 20 results, which you loved in layout when I gave you that table, didn't you?
Yeah, no, when you gave me that table, I was like, oh my God, don't do this to me. It doesn't fit in a column.
Favorite day.
Yeah, but it was so good, it had to make it in. So, so I took the Mechapult, which I also love the idea of this just, floating Mizona tiny thing with like an enormous catapult built on the top of it. I also took a loudspeaker so that when I use the Mechapult, it can do a noise. So every time it's fired, the loudspeaker just makes the noise.
It's important to provide your own soundtrack.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta have your own Foley. It's fine.
Yeah. Again, an escape hatch because it really is mandatory on a Mizona because it's going to blow up in probably the first session. But then, so with the modules, I took a comms module because I don't have portable comms. I took the personal recreation device, which I'm sort of picturing is an old sort of like sort of games console game, but it's been sort of all soldered, sort of ripped apart and soldered up into like a little targeting screen. Because the personal rec device allows you to re-roll a die the next time you roll it. So because I'm using the Mechapult, the idea with that is that, you load the game and the targeter from in the game. So then when I shoot that Mechapult, because it has that random D20 table and maybe I roll something bad that I don't want to happen, I can actually use that to re-roll that Mechapult table. If I want.
Nice.
So that'll give me a little advantage on using that Mechapult because it's quite an expensive weapon to use because you have to spend scrap. And finally, zoom optics as well. So the Mechapult already has a crazy range of long for out the starting stuff. This actually extends it to far, so you can just use that from miles and miles and miles away. So everything kind of works together to basically try and get off this one really good shot. Before I get murdered. Yeah.
Nice.
Reminds me of the junk cannon from Fallout. I forget which one with 3 or 4.
Fallout 3, I think that covers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's in New Vegas as well, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably. I feel like it's in 4. 4 is the only one I played, but I feel like it's in there too.
It was definitely, probably. Yeah, I mean, it's such a good idea. Why not put it in every game?
Yeah.
But this is also why I wanted to keep hold of at least 6 scraps. So my cargo hold is full when I first leave, full of scraps. So I have ammo for my Mechapult as well.
Amazing.
So that's where my spare scrap's going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I kept things mostly the same except for I did take out the comms and put in a recreation device. Which I would just like to be like a little craft station. I would like to do some scrapbooking, I think.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Just journaling the adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe
Sorry,
I'll take up knitting.
I just got
I don't
that.
Yeah. I went for kind of a techno light show theme. I'm not sure how practical it'll be, but it
doesn't matter.
It satisfied me.
Equally as practical as those boots.
Quite. So I've got the red laser, of course, in conjunction with the floodlights, and the reactor flare.
Laser light show is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically.
You can have a rave anywhere.
It's what you know from your previous life.
It is, right? Yeah.
Only more deadly.
Craft what you know. So we've got those in conjunction. And then we've got the loudspeaker, obviously, to put some tunes on whilst that light show's happening. And I took Eggs Mayhem because I remembered I was a hacker, which lets you hack into...
because I remembered.
Yeah. So as you hack into databases, no doubt, to probably just to inform them that there's a light show on. But
it's actually to just like illegally download music. You just have you have like a version of Napster inside your Mac.
It is, yeah. Oh, what a throwback! Yeah, Kazaa, yeah. And dun dun dun. I took an rigging arm, because it just seemed useful, for carrying carrying all the lighting.
Actually playing the game.
Yeah, I'm playing the game. Yeah, and
we don't do that.
An
here.
escape hatch I did take, because I figured with all the lights and noise, I might make a bit of a target of myself. So escape hatch might be useful. Just
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the gist of my scrapper.
Nice.
I love it. It's like the exact opposite of mine. Mine is like full practicality. Like, I've got a gun, I've got cargo holds, I've got floodlights, and you're like, what if laser light show disco? Though.
Exactly. It'll be fine.
I think you can tell sort of like out of the group which two of us have sort of, played with these enough that we're kind of like done with the, practical mechs, and we're like, okay, what kind of meme builds can I do today?
Well, it's the silliest thing I can do at TechCon. Yeah.
What's fun but not useful? Yep.
I really want you to roll a 1 on the quirks table for the flashing RGB lights.
That would make a lot of sense.
So in theory, you can choose as well if you want. You don't have to roll, but
where's the fun in that?
Yeah, where's the fun in that? So next is we roll on the quirks table.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Seeing we're all done with mechs. Not a 1.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I got exterior fluctuates in color.
Very good.
So like an iridescent sort of thing going on, maybe?
Yeah. Mm. I got one that does also fit, vibrates frequently and intensely.
There's just so much bass.
That's just the bass.
That's gotta be it. Oh no. You're the annoying mech.
Yeah, I got fumes.
Stealth missions are out, aren't they?
Every time you drive by, my character just rolls her eyes.
Vibrating, lasers just ping into the air.
Yeah, mine fumes smoke. So I feel like between us, we are not subtle. Like, we are not.
These are our level 1 mechs. Come on, we got to have some like annoyances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, we're lying out the kinks in Tech 2 and beyond.
Spitfire's tried so hard to fix these things, but you're just like, it's fine.
I got a falcon wing door design.
Nice.
So it's like, the gull wings. But I suspect that that's actually what my mechapult's built out of. I've just sort of like, taken it, switched it around into a scoop shape, and put some bigger hydraulic rods on it, and that's my actual mechapult. It's just my door opening really, really fast. And that's just how that works.
It's amazing. It's perfection.
Wow.
Which means that I can technically only broadside attack. So I have to kind of turn sideways on to, do my fling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're so capable and competent. Look at us.
Yeah. It'll be fine. We'll just,
I'm sure
we'll wing it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And,
I rolled my appearance. Super sleek with neon lights.
Oh, God, that's what I rolled as well.
I would like for all of us to roll that.
Oh, no.
Nice. Clearly, I installed some neon on your mech.
I love that mine is really just like a cargo hold. Like, it's a walking cargo hold, and it's like, but it's got neon lights. It looks so cool. It's super sleek.
It's so good.
Like those reverse lights, but all over.
Yeah.
Spitfire is having none of that, and she has a grisly, bloody markings appearance.
While you're inside getting a foot massage.
She wanted the exact opposite outer appearance, because she's just like, oh my God, the RGB, why?
I don't want to be associated with you.
Do you know how hard it is to wire these things? You're not the one under the hood making these alterations.
So I got a luminous paint job. So I think it's painted in the same bright fluorescent green as my boiler suit.
We're definitely
the true tingle.
And the doors are painted in a sort of like bright red, like the rosy cheeks on the thing. So yeah, it's
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's go undercover. They'll never find us.
Gritty stealth mission.
There is actually a system for that. I think it's at Tech 2, but you can get an industrial body kit, which allows you to basically build a shell around your mech to make it look like a different mech. So you can do stealth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us want to do stealth, though.
Yeah,
really, in our hearts.
So, yeah.
I guess if we have to, but I don't feel like that's really our vibe.
Yeah. And then,
and finally, pattern names. So that sort of so after you've designed your sort of unique mech, you can either roll on the table or you can give it a pattern name that sort of makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I really need yours to be Disco Inferno, though.
I just rolled Disco Inferno. I'll probably pick a different one though.
I got Diva, which also works, I think.
That does work.
Yeah.
So
I got Harlequin, which I like.
I like that.
nice.
Mm.
I don't know. I've got Gigglebot.
I am going to change mine to Bullseye, I think, because Disco Inferno just really doesn't fit, and I think Bullseye pattern is more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Technicolor Dream Warrior is another
Yes,
name on
that's
here.
another
So
good option. Yeah.
There's certainly a theme there.
Cool.
In
And
theory,
in theory, I think we're done now. Aren't we?
that's pilots and mechs. How was that going for it out of curiosity?
This is great. I am just looking at one thing.
Oh yeah.
I see EP and heat on the character sheet. Do we need to fill that in right away?
So your
Go.
chassis determines your mech's EP and heat, and where it says current, that's kind of tracking it in play. So your EP will go down and your heat will go up. So your heat starts at 0 technically, and then goes up to your cap, and then your EP starts at whatever it is, -9, and then goes down when you spend.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And you can mostly get EP back during downtime. So when you go back to your crawler, your mech recharges over a week of downtime, and that's when you get your EP back. But there are some. There's like an energy cell at Tech 2, I think, that gives you like a bit of EP, and there's a couple of abilities that give you EP and stuff like that. But for the most part, we keep it fairly tight, as it's as most of the abilities are quite powerful. So.
Yeah. It's kind of the long rest currency, whereas heat is kind of a short rest currency in that regard.
Oh, that's a good analogy. Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
Are we all set to dive into Union Crawler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, cool. So the crawler, mechanically, the crawler portion's relatively simple, but the depth is really in the various characters that sort of form part of your crawler, and then working out who they are and their relationships to everyone.
So, to carry on as we have been, if we start with the flowchart on page 212.
Right.
I sense a theme between all these beginning of how to do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing, because there are actually quite a lot of decisions to make through the character creation process. So, like, information hierarchy was a really important sort of layout goal in that regard, and sort of getting that information across to people as quickly and easily as possible, so that it doesn't again become that analysis paralysis where you've got to read and absorb and internalize the entire book before you can even start play, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So who's filling in the crawler sheet?
I
can. I have it up, but Amelia has better penmanship than I do.
Well, you're typing though, so. But
I am typing.
we can both do it, and we'll compare notes at the end. We'll see who's more beautiful.
Very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So step 1 is choose a crawler type. So there are 5 different crawler types at base. They're all described on page 216 and 217. So we've got the augmented crawler, which is kind of like the high-tech kind of AI kind of bionics crawler. So each of these crawler types basically gives you a special character on the crawler, so an extra NPC on the crawler who gives you an advantage every time you do downtime, and a special ability as well for the crawler itself. And the crawler really comes into play in downtime. During the normal course of play, you're not on the crawler. You deploy from the crawler, and it's assumed to be kind of hovering around the edges of the map. So you can kind of just go back to it and then do the downtime at the end of a session, or, you know, at the point at which you want to call for downtime if the session drags on for more than one actual play session. But the idea is that each session you would go back to the crawler. You do a week's worth of downtime. So the idea is that you don't just go, okay, we've gone out, we've gone to the first sort of area on the map, we've got some salvage, let's just go straight back, because then that triggers a whole downtime cycle. So you're going to be there for a week, rearming, redoing, and it kind of, you know, stalls out the game a bit. So yeah, and the crawler's mostly used in those downtime activities. So the augmented crawler, every pilot gets the augmentation ability tree, which is the hacker ability tree that gives you the bionic parts. So it gives everybody access to that ability tree. So everyone can get bionic senses, arms and legs, if you want, and that's in addition to your other ability trees. If you're a hacker, it's obviously less useful, but
lets you double up.
Yeah, and everyone gets an additional training point, so that you can spend on that tree only at the beginning of the game. So if we were to choose that, we would all get one extra training point, which would mean we all get one extra ability, and it has to be spent there. So basically, everyone would get bionic senses to begin with, and then as you then progress, you can choose to become more and more bionic. And the character you get is an AI, so you get a Union crawler AI, so you get an AI on board, and that allows you to ask 2 questions before you deploy out, and they will answer you truthfully. So you give them a name and you roll on the AI personality table for their personality quirks.
Okay.
Then there's the battle crawler, which is the combat crawler. So your crawler gets 2 weapons rather than 1, as is normal, and you can make 2 attacks on its turn. If it does at any point, you know, sort of narratively speaking, the crawler comes under attack. It does happen rarely because it's not really part of normal course of play, but if, you know, you're sort of playing and it sort of comes into it because you've, you know, annoyed some corpos and now they're coming after you, and we're going to sort of do a fight scene, then, you know, that's where that might happen.
Because someone really needed to get near Kaiju Santa Claus. We got a little too close.
Yeah. And you get a grizzled veteran, which you get, so normally in downtime, you would get 1 piece of extra pilot equipment per downtime till you've got your max. You get 2 with a grizzled veteran because they keep the armory well stocked. And they also give you information related to combat, military strategy, and tactics. And then there's an engineering crawler, so that reduces the upkeep cost of the crawler because it's a very well-engineered thing. It's more efficient than most. And you get a research engineer, and they can be asked to make a piece of a mech chassis system or module, one tech level higher than your current crawler level per downtime. So you can get access to more advanced equipment, but at a limited pace, basically, between sessions.
Okay.
There's an exploratory crawler, which is got an all-terrain locomotion, so it allows you to basically, most of the maps that we design have like specific routes that go between areas. This would allow you to sort of narratively say, hey, look, well, I mean, we can't go this way because there's a mountain range here, but we've got an exploratory crawler, so we're just going to skip straight from this zone to this zone during the downtime.
I think a good example of that in False Flag, there's like a huge sort of frozen sea in between the 2 mainland areas, which is quite difficult to cross in the module. You either have to go over this frozen Iceland, or you have to find a secret tunnel, which is obviously full of traps and other horrors. But obviously with an exploratory crawler, you could just cross So
Yeah.
it gives you a lot of flexibility.
And you get a Wasteland Explorer as part of your crew, and you can ask them a couple of questions about the area of the map, and they will provide true answers to you. And finally, we've got the trade caravan, and it's geared toward trade. So you've got an improved trading bay. So when you roll to see what's available to purchase, the trade is always one tech level higher than your crawler, and can be purchased for its salvage value per the normal rules. It has its own separate trade table, which is an improved version of the usual trade table, and you get a savvy trader as part of your crew. And they also reduce the cost of any mech chassis system or module available by 1 scrap to a minimum of 1.
Wow.
So they're kind of, they're, again, the 5 archetypes in the same sense as you've got those 5 sort of generic class archetypes. So you've got kind of like the hacking crawler, you've got the soldier crawler, you've got the engineer's crawler, you've got the scout crawler, and you've got the hauler crawler. So they're the kind of like, 5 basic archetypes.
Yeah, and they sort of subtly push like you to how you maybe would interact with it.
Yeah.
Campaign as well. Exploratory will give you a lot more flexibility in traveling. Trading, you're obviously going to want to trade more, and you'll be a bit more ahead, and so on and so forth. Engineering, you don't have to worry about upkeep as much, so it can be useful.
Yep.
I'm kind of thinking exploratory crawler, just because like that's not a thing that like we have between us. Really, it's like a lot on the sort of exploratory side. We have an engineer, a hacker. We don't have a scout, so.
That's true, actually.
Like,
it fills in for us.
We don't.
It fills in a little space, and I feel like it's something new to play with that we don't have. But I'm open to hearing what everybody else thinks if there's a different direction.
I like that as a suggestion.
Yeah, I like the exploratory one.
One of my favorites is the augmented crawler, just because whenever it comes up, and then you have the AI is always like one of the funniest NPCs to run, just because it just gives you a lot of latitude to go a bit silly with it. But in terms of patching our gaps, exploratory makes sense.
I like the exploratory crawler. It tends to be the one thing I like to pick as well, just because it gives you so much travel flexibility. It's really useful.
So we had a piece of art done as well, which I really liked. It's on the backer kit for the starter set. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the banner for the starter set campaign that we did. And in the background, there is an exploratory crawler on that. If you have a look on the thing, and it's like this sort of quadruped thing with a big city on its back. It looks really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Trying to think. If you search back kit Salvage Union, it's on the main banner there. But that's my favorite sort of exploratory crawler we've seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, they can look however you want.
Indeed.
But that is a cool piece of art. I agree.
Yeah. But so then once we've got that, so we write the type down in the type, and it's ability. So the ability for this is obviously all-terrain locomotion, and then we name our explorer. So and they get a keepsake and a motto as well.
Do they get a call sign or?
So they can have a call sign. It's kind of
that's their name effectively, right?
It'd be a really easy way to name them. Who wants to roll for it?
I'll get to the table.
I'll roll for the call sign, and then someone else roll for the keepsake and motto.
Sure, I can roll for the keepsake.
So 19. So it's Smudge is our explorer.
Smudge, I love it.
Nice.
And they have a pre-war handheld console.
Nice.
Retro march.
I feel like they just have all these digitized like pixel maps of the area. So like, when you're exploring, it's like they're like, oh yeah, let's go around Route 19 to Cerulean City.
Very good. Should I do motto? We've got do your best. How encouraging. That's nice. Just cheering us on.
Do your best.
Yeah. Like every time we go out in a neon glowing, like kind of patronizing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what is the tone of voice on that? Because that can go a lot of different ways.
That really can't it? Like,
do your best, I guess.
do your best.
It does have an exclamation point in it, at least, so...
Yeah.
It feels like it's straight from sort of like some Korean reality show, because they say that sort of thing a lot, right? It's like, oh yeah, just do your best, kind of like it's a thing, right? You know, I will, because they don't want to lie and say they'll succeed, so it's just like, yeah, do your best. Yeah,
Do your best. Yep.
yeah.
I like the thought of this crawler being kind of like a 6 legs sort of deal, but like each of the feet has like hover capabilities, independent hover capabilities. So if needed, it can like micro hover as it gets through certain terrain, so it doesn't crush everything beneath it.
What are those thingies called? Like they're like pond skimmers, right? Or like the little water walkie bugs.
Oh yeah.
So they've got those big legs with like the curved things, so they can just kind of float, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like that sort of vibe.
The crawler itself is like dozens of feet off the ground, or hundreds. I don't know how big is this crawler thing is the question, right?
We're talking hundreds, not dozens, feet. It's, they so on the next page, it's got the tech levels. So ours will start as a Hamlet crawler. And so it starts with 20 structure points. So we can fill this out now that we've done those bits. So it starts with 20 structure points, and it's tech level 1. Its upkeep is 5 tech 1 scrap, and to upgrade is 30 tech 1 scrap. And so its population is about 100 to 500 people. So it's big enough to support that sort of population with, sort of food recyclers and water filtration systems and, lodgings and all the engineering stuff and all the different bays that we're about to go through and write out as well. So, they're pretty big. The Mega City Crawler has a population of like 25,000 plus at Tech 6. So it's kind of a real sort of Mortal Engines kind of size thing at that point.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, these are very, very big, very, very unwieldy things. It's why their structure points are relatively low. It's not because the structure is small, but because they're just very vulnerable because of their size and the fact that they're so slow. They're kind of quite easy to take down in that regard. They're these big lumbering behemoths.
Yeah, hence why they need a team of salvagers to help them protect them.
Yeah, I'm picturing like AT-AT vibes, like the Star Wars.
Yeah, legally undistinct.
Right. Well, obviously, ours has 6 legs. It's different.
Ours has 6 legs, and it can hover a little bit.
Yeah. We fear the mouse. Do not.
Separate and legally distinct from.
Separate and legally distinct. Could not be mistaken for. But yeah.
Once we've got our stats down, so the way the upkeep works is that the end, when you go back for downtime, you have to pay the upkeep cost in order to maintain your crawler. So you have to bring back at least 5 scrap of tech 1 scrap, and then that gets immediately spent on upkeeping the crawler. That's not available then. That's just spent to do that. The upgrade at 30 tech 1 scrap means that every time you pay upkeep, it goes towards the upgrade cost as well. So after 6 downtimes, you're automatically going to upgrade to tech 2. If you want, you can also pay additional tech to upgrade it faster. If you come back with a big haul and you don't want to spend it all on upgrading mechs. And then that'll unlock tech 2 quicker. So that's kind of the leveling system, really. So that's how the game's paced in terms of how much. So if you could, if you wanted to play a slower paced game, you could increase the amount of upkeep required, or specifically the upgrade cost you could increase. I wouldn't necessarily mess around with the upkeep cost, because then there's obviously too much for people to need to bring back, and it's going to be difficult. But you could double the upgrade cost if you wanted, and then obviously you're going to be at Tech 1 longer. If you wanted to stretch the game out, or indeed if you wanted to make it quicker, you could lower that upgrade cost to get people through the levels quicker. But
Cool.
that's
the base levels, I mean, it's designed to be fairly fast paced. So you're always getting it feels like you're always getting something new every session, and it's cool. But
Yeah, I like that. I feel like that's nice and easy to keep track of with not being a separate currency, not being like weird numbers of different things at different times, and
if you don't pay the upgrade because you come back and you just haven't got any scrap because everybody's mech got destroyed and you had to walk home, then you have to pay roll on the crawler deterioration table. And then if you lose structure points from being attacked or from indeed deteriorating by rolling badly on the deterioration table a lot, you then roll on the damage table, and then that's how your crawler can get basically degraded and damaged, and then your bays become unusable, which means certain actions during downtime aren't available to you. Finally, if it's destroyed, there's a destruction table as well. The worst result of which basically takes out everything. It's basically a huge reactor explosion.
Wow.
And you can. There are rules as well for building a new crawler. So to start a new Tech 1 crawler is 30 Tech 1 scrap to build a Tech 1 crawler from the start.
I'd say that's like relatively rare, but we thought it was important to put in the game as to this is the sort of the consequences of if you don't pay your upkeep and do your thing, then you can slowly deteriorate and
it's to encourage people to kind of get invested in the crawler, right? It's important to maintain it and keep it happy. You're not just sort of
and all that.
A band of mercenaries doing whatever you want. You have people relying on you at home to come back and do this stuff.
Remember what I was going to say now. So when you upgrade, the sort of double-edged sword of that is that your upkeep will increase because the tech level of the scrap you need increases. So when you go from Tech 1 to Tech 2, you now need Tech 2 scrap to upkeep your crawler, and especially that first jump is literally double. But then it goes from 2 to 3. That's still a jump more. So when you make that decision to upgrade, you have to know that you've got kind of enough in the bank or enough reliably out there that you can keep on upgrading and keeping the crawler. Otherwise, it will start to deteriorate.
Yeah. And then, after that, it's kind of the bays then. So we've got 10 bays, I think.
Did we pick a weapon?
Oh, no, sorry, we didn't pick a weapon, did we? No, that's in the armory bay, isn't it?
No, that's first. That's the third step.
I thought you did that in the bay. It's here in the bay now.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right, pick a weapon system.
4 is the bays, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Sorry, you're right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's because it's the description of the weapon thing. It's in the armament bay. There's a bay for the weapon, but you do it before you get to bays, don't you? Yeah, right. Sorry. So we pick a weapon. So we can pick any of the Tech 1 weapons, basically. So pick a Tech 1 weapon system.
Okay.
I say not a mechapult.
No.
As funny as that would be.
As funny as that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fairly flexible here. We kept this fairly simple. We at one point the crawler was going to be sort of more built like a mech, but it became again a bit more bit too overwhelming. There was too many choices, and we didn't want the crawler to be we didn't want players to necessarily always want to be oh, let's just take the crawler. Let's take our massive laser arrayed.
Let's take our whole city
crawler
with us.
Yeah,
put everyone in danger.
But players did assume it was that as well, so we did.
Yeah, there was this huge battleship kind of thing, and it's not. It's a town,
it's a town with legs. So in the end, we decided, it just gets one weapon, basically. One sort of defensive weapon. That's what we're picking, The mortar's always good, I think. But.
Yeah, the mortar's probably...
I was looking at... I was also thinking chainsaw arm would be fun.
I did kind of think
That's
that would be.
Yeah.
The imagery of that is amazing.
Yeah, just a giant chainsaw arm.
Just- Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Okay. We're going with
Should we go
chainsaw
That
arm?
is quite
arm?
Mortal Engines, actually.
Alright.
Yeah, cool.
I'll put that down in armament bay.
Why not?
And then we've got.
Do we have to spend the scrap for that one?
No, you
No.
get that as a freebie, basically.
That's just for
Yeah.
free. Nice.
So then we write out all of the bays. Obviously we've got command bay. Yeah, all of those.
They're kind of listed all here, but so the main idea is each of the bays does different things, but each of them has a character, like an NPC, that's attached to the bay, and you can effectively design that NPC as a group. The simple version is you can just name them. So if you're in a bit of a hurry, you can just sort of name them by just rolling on the call sign table to give you a bit of an idea of who they are. And then sort of get on with play. But if you want to go in depth, you can, as with everyone else, give them mottos, keepsakes, and backgrounds. And I think also, have a bit of a think about how some of them might relate to your.
Okay.
Oh, there's so many bays.
There's a lot of bays.
Yeah, there's 10 bays, so it's like 10 NPCs. Which is why this bit can be very involved if you want it to be, or you can just basically name your characters there and leave it at that, depending on what your vibes are as a group, really.
I mean, I think we can at least give them names.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, if we roll some call signs for them, and we can briefly go through like what each of the bays does as well while we're at it.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got the command bay. That's basically where your sort of head of operations is. At the start of a mission, or you tend to go up there and you get your data map of the area, and you can ask. You can use it to ask questions about the mission ahead. And I believe the Princeps is the character who's like the head of the command bay and keeps it all going. And does anyone want to roll for that?
Yeah, I can roll for a good name. Let's see here. Rattler.
Cool.
Rattler. Nice.
Yeah. And this is another thing we framed it like so it being a sort of communal society, nobody's really in charge. So the princess is sort of the most experienced of the bridge crew, and they have like some authority there, but it's all nobody is like the boss, as it were. And that was sort of a concept we tried to get through with a lot of this. Partly in narrative terms, but in game terms as well. We didn't really want GMs to necessarily be like, you have to do this, because the boss of the crawler says you have to do this. But yeah, anyway, sorry. The mech bay would be the next one. Then specifically, the greaser is for sort of the head engineer, the most experienced engineer. And the mech bay is where you do all your mech stuff. So you basically your mechs heal at the mech bay, and restore all that energy and everything else, but keeps them in tip-top shape.
So the key thing with these bays is obviously if you don't pay your upkeep or it gets damaged in combat and the mech bay gets damaged, it means that when you do downtime, you don't regain your EP and your mechs don't regain SP because the mech bay is damaged. So you can't do those things. So that's why it's kind of important, because you start to lose this functionality in the downtime of restoring stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing with the bays are also like effectively all the stuff you can do during downtime is detailed in the bays themselves. So that's all the stuff you have access to. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
It's
So
also
I rolled for.
Yeah.
What was that,
roll
sorry?
for that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I rolled for that one, and this one, the greaser's call sign is Bingo.
Love it.
so nice.
Bingo was his name.
Mhm.
Cool. Then we
Storage
have
bay.
Storage bay.
Ooh.
So that's where all your stuff is stored, basically. All crawlers just have unlimited storage, effectively, because we didn't want to overcomplicate that too much.
There is obviously a box with a certain number of slots in it, but that was just the limit of paper.
Fair enough.
But we felt, just you can basically put as much stuff in there as you can carry to it.
Yeah, just want to roll for.
That's the ball whacker is the storage bay chief.
The bullwhacker.
If a storage bay gets damaged, you lose half of all your stuff, so it's quite...
Yikes.
Yeah.
So you probably don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Do you want me to roll for that one?
Sure.
Ah, dice are rolling off the table. Voodoo.
Voodoo. Interesting. Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
Then there's the armament bay, which we've briefly done. That's sort of the where the defensive weapon systems are, and the gunny is the main person there.
All right.
Yeah, as you might
Let's see.
expect. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, as you might expect, if that gets damaged, you can't use the weapon. And when you upgrade that bay, you get to upgrade the weapon with a new one from the new tech level if you wish. As well, but
I am tickled by this person's call sign. The gunny's call sign is Chuckles.
Yeah.
Love it.
Chuckles
Clearly,
is slightly
Chuckles.
deranged.
It really is.
Doing what they love. Chuckles with a
Just
chainsaw,
chainsaw.
technically, right? With a
Yeah.
giant chainsaw.
This is a terrifying clown, is what this is.
I like it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's also vindicating what I said, but even the names can give us an idea of these characters.
Yep.
Yeah. If when you add
Um,
keepsakes and mottos as well, it gives
yeah.
you a bit more of a picture of who they are, and you can start to really characterize them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we've got the crafting bay, which is the forger. And that's basically where you craft all your stuff during downtime. So make all your chassis systems and modules out of a scrap you get during play, which basically works exactly like making already what we've done, making a mech.
But yeah, obviously, if that one gets damaged, you just can't make any new stuff anymore. You can only use what's in your storage bay to, fix up things that get damaged or what have you, which is, again, an incredibly limiting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one we have catfish.
Interesting. Okay.
And then we have the trading bay, which is one of the more complicated bays in terms of downtime. But it allows you to trade scrap, is actually one of the real key things that it lets you do. When you come back from the waste, you will have scrap of a specific tech level. The trading bay allows you to exchange that scrap for other scrap at the sort of 1-to-1 ratio, if you like. So if you have 4 pieces of Tech 1 scrap, you can trade it for 1 piece of Tech 4 scrap or 2 pieces of Tech 2 scrap, for example. Without the trading bay, basically you're stuck with just whatever you bring back at the tech level that it's already at.
Yeah, which can be quite inefficient.
Yeah. It's also... sorry.
I was just going to say that, that sort of abstracts. Obviously, the scrap is, in game terms, it is meant to be different things. So, like that initial concept we talked about, where it's wiring looms or aluminum foil or parts or whatever. So that sort of abstracts it. But like in game terms, you are taking in the narrative, you're taking your big aluminum foils and you're trying to trade them for, wiring looms so that you can build your
That makes sense.
laser or whatever. So that's, narratively how it works. But in game mechanics, we simplified it down to basically made it as simple as we possibly could, really. Whilst keeping some choice in there, I think.
You can also roll on the trading bay table once per downtime, and it will give you a piece of tech that is of a tech level higher than your crawler. So if you are a Tech 1 crawler, then what you roll on the table will give you an option to basically buy something, random something that is of a tech level higher than you are. So it gives you access sort of like to more higher powered things than you would otherwise be able to craft in the crafting bay, which is restricted to your tech level. You get a roll on that table. So it's kind of a bit of a, loot box roll of, hey, what do we get this time? In terms of, so that you can kind of, build up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because though the advancement's linear in respects to, you go in Tech 1, 2, 3, there's a non-linear aspect in both, these tables, but also like out in the wastelands, you might find high-tech stuff as well.
Absolutely.
So balancing that, because we wanted it to be spikes and to create interesting decision points, basically.
Yeah. yeah, like, do you spend the scrap on that thing because it's going to be quite expensive to buy, but you might only get one opportunity to get it for now. So, but then they're more expensive to maintain as well. Things of your tech level repair automatically, but you do have to spend scrap to repair things that are outside of your tech level. So they're expensive to maintain and difficult, but they can give you a pretty big advantage in terms of the kind of people you might be fighting would be of your tech level normally, or sort of there or thereabouts.
There's utility as well. Like the Kraken is a Tech 2 mech that has like full underwater capabilities, which obviously can be very useful. So,
if you
interesting.
need it,
if you
So
and the operator is the trading character who's
do you have a name for
doing a lot of your deals.
Our operator's call sign is Twitch.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. Then there's the med bay. Basically, that's where you heal. So during downtime, you basically heal all your hit points if you've taken any damage. But later on, as you get higher tech ones, you can heal minor and then major injuries, which can happen if your pilot goes down to 0 HP. They're all on a table, and if they roll a certain result, they can take injuries, which reduce. They reduce your max HP as a mechanical effect, and then they have more of a narrative effect of whatever the injury is. GM might apply like some narrative penalties to that. But then the med bay can heal them, and the doc is the med bay character.
We got Whistler.
Whistler.
Nice.
Interesting.
That sounds like a proper doc name as well.
It does.
Then we've got the pilot bay. So the pilot bay is where you spend your training points effectively. It's the longest of all of the bays in terms of how it's explained, but effectively it allows you to spend your training points on unlocking new abilities. And it allows you also to basically do the advanced and legendary pilot training. So you gain a certain amount of training points depending on the level of your crawler, and it also boosts your HP as you level that pilot bay up, it gives you access as you level it up to the new thing. So you can't stay on a Tech 1 crawler forever and then still end up with sort of high level pilots with legendary abilities, because your pilot bay won't be high enough to be able to access those things effectively.
Oh, interesting.
That's the idea.
It's a little it's effectively describing the entire pilot leveling and advancement system there, which is why it's over a page or so. But that's a gist. And the ace is the pilot trainer.
Oh, okay. This is Taxman.
Always
That's
keeping
good.
you in check.
Okay.
Making sure you do your push-ups.
Yep.
Incredible. What a good name.
That's a good one.
Cool. Then we have the armory, which is where you get your pilot equipment from. So basically, once during every downtime, you can get a new piece of equipment with the tech level of your crawler. Simple as, really. And the smith is the most experienced quartermaster of the
army. Slippy.
Slippy. That's very good.
Another.
I feel like all this pilot equipment has, fallen off the back of a mech, right?
I was going to say, it sounds
That's how it's been acquired.
so above board.
Cool.
And
finally, the cantina, which is a social hub of a crawler, but it's where you can pick up rumors mechanically, so you can go there and find out rumors about what's going on in the wasteland, which might then help you decide what direction you want to take your crawler in, what you want to investigate. And it's kind of where, if we're doing like downtime role playing, a lot of role play occurs. It's the tavern basically. It's where other folk from your crawler, but also maybe people who are passing by will be dropping in. And the chef is the character.
Who's our chef, Ryan?
Our chef's call sign is Sandbag.
Oh, no. I don't know why I don't love that, but
It feels like their food is always a
like
little
a little
crunchy.
grainy,
grainy.
A little grainy.
Yeah.
But like, it tastes fine.
I mean, I feel like this is someone who like one time accidentally used sand instead of flour or sugar or something.
Yeah.
Like it was like,
Yeah,
oh, I thought
can
it was
see
brown
that.
sugar, but it was sand. Now this person is sand
You
bad.
said you were
Just
serving
stuck.
grits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
How
The
appetizing.
other key thing with the cantina, if the cantina becomes damaged, there are no longer food and water purifiers, and the supply's spoiled basically. So you've got 4 weeks to fix it before everybody on the crawler just dies of starvation and dehydration. So
Amazing.
it's kind of an important one to keep going.
I love it. They all seem a little important, don't
Yeah,
they?
they all seem.
They're all very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like you want to keep your crawler in tip-top shape so you can actually like survive.
Almost like you're not supposed to let things fall apart.
I know.
Yeah.
They
What?
fall apart.
Consequences? What do you mean?
So then it's and then it's just, again, it's reinforcing that structure of you go out and you need to get scrap to maintain this, because otherwise everything kind of falls apart quite quickly. And then finally we give the crawler a name.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Who wants
And there
to?
is a name table.
Who wants
There
to
is a
roll
name
for
table.
this?
Because of course there's a table.
I feel like one of you should. We rolled for all the other names, so
Yeah,
if you want
sure.
to roll for a.
I can give it a roll. 19. Perseverance. That tracks with our team, to be honest.
I love it.
I feel like we didn't name that.
Yeah.
That was just stamped on a random piece of metal that happens to get attached somewhere on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Do your
really
best.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Mm.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, we
Cool.
could have had
And then,
Dumpy or Fat Turtle, but it's fine.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the rest of that section is obviously describing the downtime procedure. So there's an order to do it all in to sort of just help you go, okay, cool. So we'll do this first, then that, then that, then that, and then it sort of speeds up the process rather than sort of trying to randomly do it. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Did we do it? Did we finish?
We did it.
Feel like we
that's,
made characters. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, that's the other thing with mech games. The simplicity helps because in this week there's effectively 3 character sheets.
Yeah.
You have to go
Right.
through. So yeah.
But I can see, like, especially with that crawler stuff, you can get some really deep conversation with all of the side characters and the different bays and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's kind of the idea. There's certainly a balancing act in like how much detail do we put in there, how much do we kind of leave to the group's imagination, and hopefully we've struck a fair balance for it because there's certainly as we saw Chuckles the chainsaw, the chainsaw is just loving life.
Chuckles Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh.
Is that how you got those grisly markings?
Ooh.
Cast off.
I feel like there's a general sense of agreement that Chuckles shouldn't be in charge of the chainsaw arm, but also we're all too terrified to like confront them about it.
Yeah.
Persevere through it. That's
do your best.
That's the theme.
Do your best.
Do your best.
Yeah.
I love this.
That was incredible.
But I think that was Salvage Union character creation in full.
Yeah,
with the crawler as
amazing.
well. Yeah.
In full detail and explanation. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much for joining us for our Salvage Union character creation. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed it too. It was a good time.
Certainly did, yeah.
I'm not sure what we made, but we made something. Can you quickly remind people where they can find you, where they can find Salvage Union, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So Salvage Union is available direct from Leyline Press. We ship to the US, UK, EU, and internationally as well. You can also pick it up from your various retailers. So you may well see it in your friendly local game store. And you can find us at Leyline Press on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also find us at Salvage Union on Blue Sky, and Facebook and Instagram as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you. And thank you to everybody for listening. Please join us on the next episodes for our discussion block. Call to action.
Yeah, like that. So I really love this game. Obviously, I've been very adamant about that throughout the whole recording. People are going to continue to hear me talk about how much I love this game. I also really love that we got to name people in all of these little sections.
So many people.
Like Chuckles in our armament bay is a big favorite. Our chef named Sandbag, the most
so good.
The most excellent name for a chef, and really, really creates.
There's a lot of evocative call signs in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Taxman, Voodoo, Rattler, Bingo, Catfish, Twitch, Whistler. Like, it's some excellent names. I love that, like, just that little bit of a detail of, like, here's a person that's in there and here's, like, one little kind of thing about them. Really kind of sets up so much information about the environment that you're going to be in and your little community. And I love how big of a part of it this community is. Your crawler. Right. It has that, that foraging aspect and sort of that, like, building aspect that you get in a lot of games. But I like that I like that this is a game that, like, it does have some, like, mech combat and stuff, but really, like, the focus is on that community and the community and the salvaging and like the built-in crafting system, right? Effectively, right? Yeah. It's like one of those survival games or whatever, like, that you see all the time on the mobile or whatever, that, like, you have to build your community almost like a real-time strategy sort of thing. Yeah. Like, gather the resources and all that sort of stuff. And then taking that into RPG form is really fascinating. Right. But in a way that, like, feels pretty simple too. Like, that it doesn't feel overwhelming of, like, here is, like, 84 pages of the different kinds of scrap you can get and what each piece does. That it's very much, it's like, I don't need you need, like, 3 pieces of scrap and exactly. But I do like that it kind of has that clock of, like, if you don't keep up with your with your fixing everything and all of that kind of stuff, that there is, like, that little bit of urgency to it too. So yeah, you don't want your fusion core to explode. Right. Yeah. So our listeners can appreciate it's a mech game that Amelia likes. And so, absolutely. What a big deal that is. Huge. Look, we all have our things that we love and things that we don't. Mech games are usually not a thing that I love, but this one, so it's this one's something special, that's for sure. Yeah, it really is. Well, before we let you go for the day, we do have some calls to action. First up, things have been pretty busy for the two of us lately. We're getting close to being more available to do some fun things with the show. In the next couple months, we'll wrap up this year's Ennies stuff and have free time to breathe and, I don't know, see that there's grass outside or something, maybe. I know. If there's still grass outside. I don't know. Technically, yeah. In the meantime, we've got at least the next 3 series planned out after this one. We're lining up recordings. We literally just finished one recording today, a few minutes ago. I'm so excited for everyone to hear what we have for May. It's good. It's good. Yeah, May's series is going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. We also have a feed swap planned with the folks over at the One Shot Podcast. We will be releasing an actual play starring myself and Ryan alongside some fantastic guests from around the network. In return, Dylan Apelian, host of the One Shot Podcast, is teaming up with Tracy Barnett to record a series for our feed in the style of C3. So it's going to be an interesting experiment in cross-network collaboration and to find out if other people are actually as good as us. It's probably not, but hopefully not better. Yeah, hopefully not better. Really? Yeah, I think Dylan and Tracy will be excellent. But they're gonna bring a whole different vibe to the format of the show, and I'm really excited to see kind of how that
works.
Yeah,
it'll be really interesting.
Interesting to see if they are able to reach our magical girl / blood cult quota. I am
want
a
them to bring their
a little concerned that our listeners are not going to get their fix of
we'll see.
Magical cultists.
As of the release of this episode, this is the day that they're recording. So who knows?
Ooh.
Who knows?
We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure that they will do an excellent job. All joking aside, I'm sure it will be great. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see somebody else kind of try out what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So stay tuned for all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In addition to all of that, we would love it if you checked out our Patreon, the C3 Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. If you are able to help us out, it would do a lot of stuff for the show. It would allow us to actually update our webpage. Is one of the big things that I'm kind of pushing for with future Patreon funds. Because I keep seeing every month people are finding our webpage through searches for other games.
Oh.
Like they're looking for character creation help on various games that we've covered and have stuff on our webpage. So having pages for everything would only allow more traffic to come to our site and more fans for the show and a bigger community.
It's definitely gotten harder
really
as
good.
The backlog has grown too. Unfortunately, it's like one of those because we didn't start doing website day one. Now 7 years in, and we've made it through like
there's quite a backlog to catch up on.
1 year of info. Yeah,
absolutely. So, and since Amelia and I do not have the time, we would love to pay somebody to actually update the site for us. So this would be an hourly job for like an hour or two every month to get the stuff on the site that we need. And if we get more patrons at that point, like if we hit the $200 mark, I think we can actually get them to start going through the backlog a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And then obviously the more that we have, the faster that backlog can get kind of shoveled into the website. Which would be great. So there's a lot of good incentive if you have the ability to jump onto the Patreon. And if we do hit that $200 a month as a bonus, we can actually start offering yearly subscriptions at a discount.
Yeah, that's right. Which is a thing like I really want to be able to do. I'd really love to be able to give people that yearly discount. Unfortunately, Patreon is like only if you have enough people can you give people deals. Okay.
Exactly.
But how do we get more people if we can't give them a deal? The answer is help us out, and then you can help. Help us help you, is what I'm saying. If we get 8 more level campaign patrons, that'll put us past our $200 barrier. And so that's 8 more folks that can get some really great stuff, including new stickers. Every month that you are a patron, a set of 3d6 C3 branded Chessex dice. They're very nice. They're cool colors. I love them. They have not been rolling particularly well for me, but that's okay. If anyone heard our Shadow Dark episodes,
good luck with them, to be fair.
That's awesome. Fine. I think it might be me more than the dice, if we're being honest.
It's very possible.
You'll also get a personalized thank you card from both of us, handcrafted by myself, as well as many other perks. So all of that is for $10 a month, and it would go a long way towards helping us provide a one-stop shop for the games that we cover on the show. We are planning to have links to our character sheets and other resources for the games, links to the episodes we cover, the game in, blurbs about the games and the guests, and more. We've got a lot of stuff that we want. We also have tiers at $5 and $1 level that'll get you various perks as well. So you can head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and get all of the info.
In addition to all of that, we like to thank our current patrons every episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal. So let's get into that right now.
DJG, aka Tigranosaurus, Eric Bunce, and Daryl Holiday II, thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Shadim Cabal, The Shyest Barbarian, and Benjamin Sweeney. We couldn't do this without you.
Thank you, Rob Fletcher, Kevin Brown, and Tentacle Duck. We could not do this without you either.
John Adamus, A3 Sketchpad, and Cole McCallum, we are so grateful to you. Thank you.
Carlos Salazar, Eric S., and Ian Popmeyer, thank you for supporting our dreams.
Thank you to Liam G., Brian Colm, and Garden GM. You're the best.
Tanglefoot, Blue Kryptonite, and Danny, thank you so much.
Nicole Trainer, Liam Murray, and Kenning, you shouldn't have, but we're so glad you did.
Brian Kurtz, Mark E. Fair, and Drew Owen, thank you so much.
Oz, James McKinley, and Sean Metcalf, many thanks to you.
And finally, thanks, Robert. We're so glad to have you backing us.
And thank you to all of our future patrons. If you want to join this phenomenal group of individuals, please head on over to patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. We are getting very close to covering our operating expenses every month. And with more assistance, we'll be able to make those website upgrades to make exploring your favorite games that much easier. And finally, if you want to join in the discussion with our hosts and some of our guests and a bunch of fans, head on over to our Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com.
That's all we have for today's episode. You can join us next week where we'll be beginning. Join us here next week where we will be beginning our discussion series. This is honestly like among some of my favorite discussions that we've had. So please stay tuned.
It's so good.
Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.